Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're doing well and keeping safe on this Wednesday. Lots to say about Lukaku. Of course, there's been a lot of reports today about his potential return to Inter Milan and the talks going on between Inter and Chelsea. We'll get into that straight away. Also, season ticket news basically that's been awaited by fans for quite long, and a lot of positive news to get into there. And the new kit, even though we've known what the new kit has looked like for months, and again another announcement we're waiting for, probably held back due to the sanctions. I'll give you my thoughts on the new shirt for this season. But before we get into any of that good stuff, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of the uploads on the channel. Also, do me a massive favor, if you're enjoying the content, hit that like button because it helps new people find the channel as well. Big piece in the Telegraph today: Chelsea open talks over Lukaku's loan return to Inter Milan. Inter Milan have officially opened talks with Chelsea over a deal to re-sign Romelu Lukaku on loan, which the Italian club hope could be agreed by the end of the week. Telegraph Sport understands that Inter held talks with Chelsea's new co-owner Todd Boehly for the first time on Wednesday, with representatives of Lukaku also present on the call. None of the parties have commented, but it is believed that the talks were positive and there is a willingness on all sides to reach an agreement that suits all parties following the first round of discussions. Further talks will now centre on the exact terms of a loan fee and whether or not Inter will allow any players to move in the opposite direction as part of Lukaku's return to Italy. While a deal may not be officially concluded by the end of the week, Chelsea and Inter are keen to agree on the terms of the move by then, with the aim of completing it as quickly as possible. Raheem Sterling, who has now finished his international duty with England, Ousmane Dembele and Christopher Nkunku are among the club's attacking targets, while Arsenal target Gabriel Jesus has been offered to Chelsea. A lot of information there in terms of the latter part of it with those targets we've spoken about on the channel. Let's focus on Lukaku. This is the best and I think only resolution we can come to this summer with Lukaku. It has got to a stage, and I've got a piece coming out on Football London tomorrow morning actually about Lukaku, and there's a connection I make to a previous Chelsea situation that kind of reminds me of this with Lukaku. Is just, it's becoming toxic. I think it has become toxic, and not only on the player side, quite clearly, he's willing to take upwards of a 40% wage cut to get back to Inter. So you have a player who doesn't want to be here anymore, which is always a case where doesn't matter who it is, you don't want players who don't want to be at your club. It leads to bad situations. The awkwardness with Tuchel system, the fan side of it too, which I think a lot of us and myself, I think, I'll always go to in terms of my discussion on things like this, because it's so relevant to the things we speak about on a regular basis. It was becoming inside the stadium and out on social media, and it has to this point now, kind of similar to when he did that interview back in December that angered so many people. It's toxic. Lukaku, since that interview, in the eyes of some, and I don't blame them, because it was just such a stupid move at the time, and only soured his reputation, is he has kind of been treated as a villain within the squad, like an antagonist. And I think when people are looking at one of their own players in that nature, when we're getting sections of the home crowd booing him when he's being subbed off, very few examples in my lifetime supporting Chelsea do you come back from that. The only thing I can think of is maybe his hero Drogba. Again, different situation. He came back, stayed at Chelsea for the long term, clearly wanted to be at Chelsea. Jorginho is the only other example. I think I referenced that a few months ago, and another situation where a player stuck it out and wanted to remain at Chelsea and wasn't pushing to get out the club because Sarri left. Lukaku quite clearly doesn't want to stick around, and to be honest, I don't think many people want him to stick around, and I just don't think going into next season politically, the way the club wants to move forward and rebuild, and just everything that's gone wrong this season with Lukaku at Chelsea under Tuchel, how can you move forward? Particularly once that interview happened, a friend of the channel, Dan McCarthy, tweeted, in 12 months time, one of these will be gone, and he posted a picture of Lukaku and Tuchel, and it's going to be Lukaku. And I think that's the right call. Listen, I think that, and I always reference him in videos because I do, work with him. Adam Newsom pointed this out. Like, I think a lot of people made out, because they didn't maybe want to criticise Tuchel and wanted to pin everything on Lukaku, that somehow Lukaku was forced onto Tuchel last summer and he wasn't a Tuchel signing. And you can maybe come to that conclusion because of the way he did not integrate into Tuchel's system. But we know that Tuchel signed off on Lukaku. Tuchel advocated getting a striker last year, and he wanted to bring Lukaku in, and he signed off on that deal. Haaland and Harry Kane, the two other targets, were unrealistic. So the idea that Tuchel was just like maybe previous Chelsea managers was Lukaku was thrust upon him, and he had no say in the situation. I think just doesn't add up with all the reports and credible reports we've had around the time of that deal, and since that deal, Lukaku, was brought in, and then Tuchel, knowing all the things about Lukaku already as a coach that he wasn't going to be able to do in his system, it gets back to kind of in that grand discussion we have about strategy. And funny enough, Liam Toomey published a piece today for The Athletic about Chelsea's recruitment problem. I think it's a really in-depth piece, and I think it's nice to read something so well put in terms of stuff that we've been speaking about for many years on The Athletic. I'll link it below. And this kind of feels like the greatest example of this. Yes, I think you can isolate Lukaku's situation down like you can with any of these and say, culturally, it didn't work out. The player himself didn't act in the best way. He quite clearly wants to get out. You just kind of end it as that. But there is a continual trend of Chelsea breaking their club record and it failing miserably. I'm just happy that Boehly and Chelsea are taking a proactive approach to this if they can. I'm already seeing some people kind of being negative about this being a lose situation for Chelsea. It was always going to be. You just cannot keep players, I think, with kind of this mood around them. I just don't think it's very helpful if Inter are in a financial situation where maybe they don't give the loan fee Chelsea want, but take a significant amount of the wages on board. You'd hope that would free up stuff for Chelsea to do in this market. It was never going to be a good situation. And I'm happy that, sure, the player has forced the club's hand in this situation. I'm absolutely certain of that because he's just so willing to leave. But as well, there's a proactive sense with this. They aren't letting it linger. They want to get it done. Inter want to get it done. I think that's a positive. When we move from there is like the profile of attacker you're bringing in. If Tuchel isn't going to adapt his system to that player, and the player isn't going to adapt to Tuchel's system, there needs to be serious conversations had about the attacking signings and their profile this summer, no matter who it is Chelsea go for. So we've had conversations about those potential targets, and I think a lot of them more than not fit into the profile and kind of the system I think Tuchel wants to play in, and very much you'd feel like could adapt and be quite versatile over the season, like a lot of the Cobham graduates are. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the common feeling is that this just has to end for everyone's sanity and I think happiness, because it's not been nice. Lukaku will go back to Inter, Chelsea will move forward with someone else, and hopefully Tuchel will get the backing and we'll do some good business in the transfer window and finally start to rectify the attacking problem we've had for several years. But let's get into some ticketing news. Big announcement today from the club's website over a variety of things, just ticketing, general admission, season tickets, club membership, Westview season tickets, and all of that stuff. Fans have been wanting to get this for a while, and we now have confirmed dates. Just here from general admission, the club can confirm that the general admission ticket prices at Stamford Bridge will remain unchanged for the 2022-23 season. In addition, after discussions with the supporter advisors to the board, the ticket booking transaction fee will also be removed. General admission season ticket renewals will open at 9 a.m. on Thursday the 16th of June, that's tomorrow. The deadline for renewing by instalment plan will be 5 p.m. on Thursday the 23rd of June, while the deadline for renewing by card payment will be 5 p.m. on Thursday the 30th of June. The statement ended with some words from Todd Boehly, who said, "We will continue to seek fan input as we plan for next season and the years ahead. Our mission is to create the best fan experience in football." The booking fee going generally is a very happy thing. I think after the departure of Guy Lawrence, who wasn't a very popular figure amongst Chelsea fans, it may seem like a small thing, £2, but along with the prices that you pay to get into Chelsea games now, I think it's a gesture that I think means a lot to Chelsea fans, particularly with Boehly coming in, recognising the supporter frustration, long held frustration over this issue, and getting it done. price freeze I think is important too for supporters, and just that clarity. And it's one of a number of things. We're focusing on transfers and the first team and players, but the security of the club, the employees, their futures, and also now just getting that information through over next season, I think and that clarity can lift that cloud of uncertainty that's been around the club for so many months. Finally, the new kit. I think that's the other thing that may be announced soon. We're not quite sure. It's quite weird this year with the kits. Yeah, nowadays we know what these kits look like months in advance. That's not breaking news. We have so many of these leaked images through footy headlines, for major clubs basically. We know what they're going to look like. But it's been quite clear that this kit has been on sale in some places, and now we're getting official sort of photos with the kit. I think I spoke about the kit with maybe template designs a few months back. As you guys know, I'm quite negative on the new kits. I think that out of the night kits, which get a bad reputation, especially the home ones, I thought last season's kit is the worst. And someone put up a graphic sort of all the home shirts Nike have done since 2017. And generally, I do think that last season's one, in colour, in design, it's a complete mess. It kind of stands out as just a complete disaster. I just think it's such a bad kit. This kit, I'm a lot more positive about. I do feel willing to invest in this shirt. I know there's a bit of negativity over the Free logo. My assumption is that Free have that partnership with Chelsea until next year. I think they're probably going to stick around for another season. And a bit like when Roman did when he came in, it was Fly Emirates, and then we quickly changed to Samsung. I think the same thing will happen with the Boehly consortium. I think they may be looking apparently for an American sponsor, so that's not the biggest surprise, is it? But let's get to the design of the kit. I'm quite positive about this, with the exception of those crayons and that messy design, whatever it is, on the collar. It is so close to being the type of Chelsea kit I like, and I think it just says so much about the mess of last season, the mess of a lot of these kits, that the more simple and plain you go with these kits, the better they look. And I just think the colour, the royal blue, it's the right royal blue. Last season's, as I say, once again, you compare all the colours of the different shades of blue they've used. Last season's was just a mess. It was far too bright. It just stands out. It was just not good. This is very much like the 0405 type colour that I'm a big fan of. It slightly reminds me of the original Adidas 0607, another favourite of fans that we had. That was, I think, Samsung's first year, as they call it, the start of the Samsung era at Stamford Bridge. So I like it. I think it's a marked improvement on last year's edition, and there still is, I think, a lot of outcry over the design of these kits, how far in advance they're agreed, how little imagination goes into them at times, particularly the away shirts, which do kind of feel like template designs. I still feel that's a big frustration, and I don't know whether Boehly, the new ownership, will have any influence over this, whether this is going to be one of the top sort of priority things. But I'd like to think in the coming years, as I've always mentioned on kits, and I sound like a broken record, I think particularly on, say, the away ones, if you can start like doing revamps, remasters in a sense of old classic Chelsea away kits, I think they'd sell so well, because financially I think the club made so much through the FA Cup shirt that they released a couple of years ago, and I think that was a really classic design, and I think it was a really smart idea for them to do it at the time, because it got a lot of people who didn't usually buy Chelsea shirts, or ones that have kind of grown out of buying Chelsea shirts and just don't feel like it's worth it given how quickly these shirts go out of date, basically. Generally, I think this is a positive. Let me know your feelings on the new kit. Hopefully we're going to have some new signings this summer that people can put on their kit, but I mean, after Lukaku last year, I could understand if we were a little bit hesitant to put a name on the back of a shirt, given how that's gone. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But that is it for today's news video. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of the uploads on the channel. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again very soon. All the best. Fixture release day tomorrow, so I'll probably have a video out breaking down those fixtures. It's going to be exciting to look forward to the 2022-23 season.